By this method you quickly achieve Buddhahood. Quote from the Yetri: "It is itself a great fruit, so there is nothing to search for. If you do not search for this fruit, everything spontaneously exists, therefore it is excellent." Sixth, the matter of directly seeing the self-visions. In Togel you directly see the self-vision. During the Trekcho, the 6 sense organs are not purified, and therefore they have to search for the purified visions. In the Togel, the doors of clear light are opened by the wisdom wind. From there the 4 lamps will appear, and by them are purified all the views of delusion. According to this method, you understand that all visions are self-liberated visions, while at the same time you are developing the Trekcho view. Quote from the Yetri: "The point is to understand the means of self-vision so that there is nothing separable and it comes together." Seventh, the matter of the Bhumis stages. In Trekcho, everything is connected with the natural state, but the vision and body are unable to rise to the final level because the method is lacking. In Togel, there are no antidotes to remove obscurations. It naturally sends you to the final stage. Commentary. Lopon comments that even though you understand that vision is self-created in Trekcho, your visions are still mixed with deluded vision. Therefore, you should praise Togel and mix the Togel visions with the normal ones. The visions in Trekcho are still waiting to be purified, so to reach Buddhahood by this method will take a long time. It is far quicker with Togel. Trekcho is gradual. Lopon comments that this view is vision and unification. You cannot separate pure vision and unification. They develop at the same time. Lopon comments that literally Bhumi means earth, but here levels of mind is meant. The 10 Bhumis represent the increasing capacity of developing knowledge. Togel therefore achieves the great Bhumi of Swastika. Quote from the Yetri: "This unchangeable Bhumi has no methods to remove all activities, so it is the greater way." Commentary. The swastika is the ancient symbol of Yungdrung, eternal Bon. Lopon comments that the Bhumis referred to here are levels according to the Bonpo Prajnaparamita. If you look at them panoramically, they all seem to reflect one another. Each has its own beginning, object to be purified, and knowledge to be achieved. At each stage there are different views, and each Bhumi has its own deities. When you achieve the Bhumi, you will see the divinity, and they will teach you how to develop together. When you achieve the first Bhumi, you see the loving goddess of Dana, giving, the Sambhogakaya of the goddess of generosity. She will teach the antidote and how to remove the obscurations. The second is moral behavior, Akshila. Higher levels form in the like manner. The Bonpo philosophy has a background completely independent of the Indian and is much earlier. Later it found its way to India, and the Indians accepted some of its concepts. An interesting example of this is the cosmological system of Vasubandhu. This system has nothing in common with other Buddhist cosmological systems, and the Buddhist used to say that this system was his own special system. In fact, it is almost identical to the Bonpo system. The root text of the Bonpo text is called the Jizpu and is written in the Zangzung language with a Tibetan translation beneath it. It is still in use. How to practice the Togel. From the Rigpa Kudrug, there comes the following quote concerning the practice of Togel. This is followed by a commentary. There is a proverb about the 42 methods of Togel. When the king of awareness travels magically to beings, he rides on a red bird with a long beak that comes from the white-stepped red rock, and riding on this bird he goes to the different places. At that time 4 kings are all serving him and lift him from down below. The 4 queens of the seasons are supporting him from the sides. 4 magic winds are moving him along, and 4 great rivers are extending his virtues and magic. 4 fires give equal heat. They dwell in the golden earth, and 8 clear mirrors decorate the body. 3 secret letters are set into mind. 5 bright lamps shine from the crown of the head. All the stars and planets are shining brightly on his breast. 4 servants are all serving him. He works for beings without lacking any methods, and all benefits come from this mount. In this allegory are combined all the methods of the Togel practices. They were taught by the Dharmakaya to the Dakinis, who kept them secret in this proverb. The early Siddhas and scholars did not comment, but thought to have it to the Shardza Tashi Gyaltsen, but were thought to leave it to Shardza Tashi Gyaltsen for his share of comments. Commentary. Lopon translates this as the awareness of the cuckoo, though this is a different text from the famous Huang manuscript of the same name. The commentary. Long-beaked bird means the source of vision. The 5 rays of colored lights, the very beginning, in the center of the heart, the awareness rests. And from the heart, a channel the size of a straw joins the awareness to the lungs. Through this channel, the winds are coming and going, and to them the visions attach. That produces thoughts. When the winds touch the source of the visions, that is called mind. The wind is like a blind horse, and his mind is like a lame man with eyes who rides him. When the wind stops, all the visions dissolve into awareness, and all thoughts disappear and dissolve into their nature. This nature has 3 qualities: emptiness, awareness, and unification, or inseparability. That is the base from which the reflections come. If you use the methods of Togel, those reflections which the base contains spontaneously appear through the channel of the light, which is joined to the eyes. Each eye has 2 channels joined to it. This purifies the impure visions, and you see the visions of wisdom. There are 42 methods of Togel, and here they will be taught sequentially. Commentary. Lopon comments that one channel is the normal eye consciousness and the other is the one discussed here, so the doorway is the same, although the Togel visions are generated internally. In Tibetan medicine, this inner path is named the Yangyakarpo. It travels between the eyeball and the lungs via the occipital foramen over the outside of the brain, and through it come the Togel visions. Normally it is not used until it is opened by the methods of Togel. In Treksho you will still use the normal channels of the eye. The 4 kings that lift from beneath. The 4 kings are the 4 methods. The first method concerns the body, speech, and mind. The second concerns the eye organ that stands at the doorway. The third is the object of vision, and the 4th is to slow down the awareness and winds. For example, Tonpa Shenrab goes to the 4 great kings to invite them respectfully, and he controls the 3 realms of existence. In the same way, there are 4 methods to use, and the awareness controls all the visions. The first method of body, speech, and mind. The methods of body. The first method has 3 subdivisions. The body is kept in a posture to control the channels and winds. Controlling the posture helps the practitioner see the clear light directly. This is why posture is important. Quote from the Wonderful Beads of Gold. The Dharmakaya posture is like a lion sitting, the Sambhogakaya posture is like an elephant sitting, and the Nirmanakaya posture is like a rishi sitting. The Dharmakaya posture. The posture of the lion sitting is to place the balls of the feet on the ground, lift the bottom and hold the back straight, and close the lower door, anus. The head is held back slightly and the 2 hands are placed on the ground between the legs. The position is like a squat. Some teachings say the whole foot should be placed on the ground, but in our tradition only the front of it is put down. The purpose of this is to remove the wind that produces disturbing thoughts and to open the central channel so that visions start. Also, it helps to stabilize the natural state. The Sambhogakaya posture. In the posture of the elephant lying down, you squat with the balls of your feet on the ground so that the knees are lifted up off the ground and touch the chest, and the chin is supported by the hands with the elbows on the ground. This calms the disturbing winds, stops thoughts of desire or anger, and brings strong health. This posture helps to bring complete visions externally and to stabilize the natural state. The Dharmakaya posture. The Rishi position has the soles of the feet placed on the ground with the arms wrapped around the knees, which touch the chest. The neck is slightly bent back. Alternatively, you can sit without crossed legs, supporting the neck with the hands, with the head bent back. The purpose of this posture is to bring you warmth and gradually to stop the thoughts. It also allows you to develop external visions, while internally you develop great experiences. The postures are not to be held too strictly or held so tightly as to be uncomfortable, nor are they to be held too loosely. Too light a position will be painful and disturbs the meditation. Too loose a position will give no assistance. Then there is the posture like a duck moving sideways, useful for beginners to start to have visions. To do this, the practitioner lies on the right side with the right elbow placed on the ground supporting the chin. The left hand is placed on the thigh. The two legs lie on the ground, one on top of the other, with the knees slightly bent. This inserts the wind into the central channel so that extraordinary visions develop. Finally, there is the antelope position, which is not explained. Lopon comments that it is a very different position with the legs bent and the hands on the back of the neck looking up. These techniques are used to keep concentration and specifically to develop visions. In the Bond system, all the 4 classes of Tantra have their own postures as well. The methods of speech. Quote from the Tashi from the Zangzong Nyingyu: if you do not stop talking, you cannot see the unspeakable nature, and the one single point nature will not appear directly. Shardza comments that you must talk less, and in the end stop talking and remain in your nature. The methods of mind. The mind means the essence of the awareness according to the gaze of the eye. To stare into space makes the movement of the winds calmer and calmer. When the winds become calm, the unification will be deeper and deeper. Quote from the Tashi: if you don't apply the gazes strictly, the awareness will not appear directly. The second method of the eye organ that stands at the doorway. Now the second method is with the eyes. In ordinary vision, the gaze does not help with the appearance of wisdom, so you must hold special gazes in accordance with the body postures. Quote from the Wonderful Beads of Gold: in the Dharmakaya body posture, the eyes must gaze firmly upwards. For the Nirmanakaya posture, the gaze must be downwards, and for the Sambhogakaya posture, it must be to the side, right or left. So the gazes can be of 3 types, but the main thing is the appearance of the visions. Commentary. Lopon comments that, as with the body positions, these gazes are not to be held too tightly, otherwise one becomes uncomfortable and this disturbs the meditation. The essential thing is to control the mind. Quote from the same text: with half-crossed eyes and without being deluded, look slightly below the sun at the distance of your fingers to your elbow. That is the method. Practice this more and more until you can keep looking at the sun in this way continuously. The third method of the object of vision. The third method is for space. In a high place, without any disturbance, gaze into the clear and clear sky. Gaze through the eyes at the clear cloudless sky. There will appear the different clear light visions. Beginners should do this at sunrise or at sunset. In the morning, face west, and in the afternoon, face east and gaze into the clear sky. Quote from the Tingshok: in the morning, gaze into the west. In the afternoon, gaze east. The fourth method, to slow down the winds in awareness. The fourth method gives 4 stages of breathing. Inhale, add a little, hold, and exhale. Some teachers say this, but they do not know the method of breathing here. In this case, you should not change the breathing, but leave it as normal. Whether it is through the nose or mouth, keep it in the same as long as it is very gentle. If you keep this gentle breathing, then the thoughts and mind will be slowed down, and the mind will be easily seized as a prisoner as the winds are not moving. The mind is kept prisoner by the awareness. If you keep the wind gentle, then the breath coming and going between the mouth and nose becomes calm, and when it becomes calm, then the mind and wind meet at the channel at the heart. As there is no disturbance, no thoughts are produced, and the mind is naturally absorbed into the naked nature. 4 magical winds are moving him along. There are 4 special channels. For example, the winds are all shaking and lifting the universe. In the same way, there are 4 great channels, and all the visions of clarity are produced and developed, lifted in them. Quote from the Tigidrupa. In general, 4 things combine to make the body. The channels or veins are like nets. In the body, there are the 4 special channels of activity. The first is called the Great Golden Channel. The second, the threads of white silk. The third is the fine twisted thread. And the fourth is the crystal tube. The first channel connects the heart to the central channel at the level of the heart. Inside there is the essential clear light, and there all the reflections spontaneously exist with the peaceful divinities. From there it travels to the brain, where the wrathful divinities spontaneously reside. Also it has branches which each support the visions of Tigre. Inside the second channel, the threads of white silk, it is fine and white. This channel starts at the heart level of the central channel and goes up the spine, leaving the central channel at the neck. From there it travels over the outside of the brain, where it splits into 2 branches. One side is connected to the right eye channel, where it supports what we see as external vision. The other runs to the crown of the head, where it supports the appearance of the great thoughtless awareness. Commentary. Lopon comments that with regard to Tigre, there are material Tigre and natural Tigre. The Tibetan for natural Tigre means empty, thing and awareness, or thig and awareness lay, and is translated into English as drop. When the vision is perfected, it supports the 9 tigle that are piled up one on top of the other inside the channel. The third channel, the fine twisted thread, starts in the central channel at the level of the heart and then goes down to the base before rising again down the center of the 4 wheels, the navel, heart, throat, and crown chakras, to pass over the outside of the brain to the left eye doorway. It supports all the visions of the natural clear lights that shine directly. Finally, the crystal tube travels from the heart to the eye. It supports the dissolving of all the visions into their nature. Thoughts are generated when the unification at the heart level meets the winds from the channel from the lungs. 4 fires give equal heat. This refers to the 4 lamps. The lamp of water, called Gyaltsen, the lamp of the empty tigle, the lamp of pure emptiness, and the lamp of self-wisdom. These 4 lamps produce the visions of the mandalas and the forms of the divinities, and whatever vision comes, they are clear. Whatever vision comes, all of them are equally encompassed with wisdom and the ripening of the 3 kayas. Thus, as in the proverb, the great fire of existence makes all warm equally and produces fruits and leaves on the bushes. This is the important teaching for insight into the natural state. Quote from the Rigpa Telwang. The 4 lamps are all inner essential teachings. Commenting on the 4 lamps, first of all, hold the body postures and eye positions as before. The first lamp, the lamp of water, appears when the eye gazes into the clear space and a dark blue clear color appears. Commentary. This is from one chapter of the Zhangzheng Yengyu, the section for teaching and initiation. From this, extend the colors of the 5 lights in rays of different shapes, like the patterns of color that appear on the dark blue background of brocade silk. That is the beginning of the appearance of visions which exist spontaneously inside the heart. Quote from the text of Molten Gold. In the external empty sky you will see the direct clear lights of the heart, which are all blue, green, red, yellow, white, and smoke-colored. The teaching refers to the sky. Some commentators think that this refers to ordinary sky without clouds, but that is not correct because the ordinary sky has nothing to do with the practitioner. The sky is just the base of the vision. The dark blue which appears to the practitioner spontaneously exists in his or her nature when this method of posture and gazes is used. Quote from the Wonderful Beads of Gold. Into the external sky enters the lamp of internal space. Here is an explanation about external sky and internal space differently put. Normally, the sky is not the base of Togil rainbow vision. It just turns into a rainbow when supported by the practitioner's visions. However, you must not conclude that this distinction that external space and internal space are 2 kinds of things. Commentary. Lopon comments that this color is what you see when you stare into the sky and notice the dark color between the mountains and the sky. First of all, you will see the dark blue color, much darker than in other places. That means that the visions are beginning. It is like the moment when a film is starting and the screen goes dark. Lopon comments that whether this vision, the first dark blue vision, comes or not depends on the quality of one's practice. It may appear in the sky, but it has very much to do with the practitioner. Lopon comments that when the practitioner practices it and looks to him or her as if space is changing, but ordinary space is not the basis of these visions, they come from within. The second and third lamps are the empty teagle and pure emptiness. They can be illustrated by a pond of water. If you throw a stone into a pond, then ripples form around it. In the same way, ripples come around the vision. At first they are without color, but finally they appear in 5 colors. That comes from the purification of the coarse wind. If you gaze into the vision, then you will see inside. The awareness becomes more clear, and suddenly there are no objects or subjects, no grasping, and it nakedly appears. That is the lamp of self-wisdom. The 4th lamp is called the lamp of self-wisdom. That is explained as naked without any grasping of objects, just left as it is. If you have stabilized your lights, keeping in the natural state, then a very precise and clear knowledge will develop. Commentary. Lopon comments that here there is no grasping or focusing. It is very bright and clear to you. This is the nature of the Trekcho view, the inseparable nature, non-duality. This is the Trekcho view of naked nature. Without the Trekcho practices, Togil does not work at all. Without Trekcho, Togil will not be effective. So you should not practice Togil alone. It should be practiced alongside Trekcho. If you abandon the Trekcho view, the visions of Togil will be of no more significance than watching the television. Better to go to the cinema. Visions may happen, but if there is no understanding of illusion, the visions are of no value. Anybody can look into the sun and see visions and so forth, but it means nothing. Lopon comments that this is again the Trekcho view. However, although in the Dzogchen view sounds, rays, and lights spontaneously exist, if you practice only Trekcho, then what spontaneously exists will not be able to appear to you. That is why Togil makes the process of release from the delusion so much quicker, since what spontaneously exists will appear to you, but its view is not different from the view of Trekcho. This knowledge is much clearer than that which comes through studying. Indeed, whatever you say or teach comes without thinking or study. It comes automatically. Everything is perfect and precise. That is called the cell energy of this nature. Clarity appears like pearls and golden threads. The nature is wisdom, and forms like this are the cell of wisdom. Whatever visions you may have, these visions are all of the same nature and go back to the same truth. They are only distinguished by names. They dwell in the golden earth, and 8 clear mirrors decorate the body. This means that the basic empty nature is the place where the visions come from and go to. Both are in unification. The space is dark blue. From this dark blue space, 5 colors all increase and appear. The real essence of awareness is inside the heart, but the forms and colors appear like a mala of beads through the eyes. When you are focusing on the sunlight, you see threads, initially black or white. The 2 types of awareness are that of nature, the natural state, and the awareness of clarity, visions. In the earth, everything is golden. You cannot find stones there. All is gold. In the same way, if everything is seen as reflections coming to or from the natural state, then the visions are all seen truly like the empty nature, the unification. Visions are all whatever spontaneously exists with the unification. Commentary. Again, the normal eye sees nothing. The vision comes from the unification. Lopon comments that these two have the same nature, but when you are in the unification, the awareness is called the awareness of nature, and when you practice Togyal and the visions come, that is called the awareness of clarity. Only the names are different. There is nothing to take or remove. Everything has the same nature. When these methods are practiced, the visions appear to the practitioner. 4 great rivers are extending his virtues and magic. The 4 great rivers are the 4 visions. Quote from the Trodrel Rigpai Tselwang. The initial text of the Zhangzang Nyingyu, the first is the direct vision that comes from emptiness. Then there is vision that is developing. Then vision that is complete, and finally vision that dissolves back into emptiness. This is only a measure of how much of you have practiced. You cannot compare these with the bhumis. The path of accumulation is like walking, whereas this is like flying in the sky. The first vision, the direct vision that comes from emptiness, the 4 methods of practicing, body, speech, mind, and gaze, were mentioned previously. If you use these methods, then from the heart chakra, where the essence of the Buddha is, the natural state, the visions will come. When you begin to apply these 4 methods, you will start to see rainbows and tegel, and from there visions will start. Initially, there will be many tegel, sometimes piled up like beads, and sometimes side by side, moving all the time. Sometimes clear, and sometimes not so clear. The vision for the visions is like the sun and its rays. The unification is the real nature, but that is unsayable. The visions are like rays that appear to the practitioner, but not to the ordinary organs of sense perception. They are called the swastika tegel. They are like the mirror and your face. Your face is reflected in the mirror, but you cannot distinguish between the mirror and your reflection. Both of them are the same. Commentary. Lopon comments that these 4 stages are not progressive like Prajnaparamita or Tantric teachings with the 4 paths, which start with removal of obscurations, etc. Here, these visions are simply a reflection of how much you have practiced. There is no sense of purifying or developing antidotes or obscuration. In the same way, whenever you have visions, you cannot split them from the unification. You must understand this. If you don't understand this, you will see the reflections as objects and understand yourself as the observing subject. The watcher and the watched are connected by thought, which is the mistake of grasping thought. By keeping to this method of practice, all these visions are self-liberating. The sign of this is that they look like very fine beads, tegel, moving in many angular patterns. In the corner of the angles there are small and fine tegel. These visions are connected with the winds, which is why they are always moving. You must not follow these visions. However, neither give them too much attention nor care for them. That means that whatever tegel or visions come to you, have to be careful to see the visions without following them. You should remain in the natural state and not care what visions come. Quote from the Togbep: there are two methods to use prayer, or there are two methods to use together. In the daytime and in daylight, use the sun and the fire crystal, magnifying glass, and in the night, use the moonlight and the water crystal, natural crystal. In the early morning or late evening, use the light of butter lamps. Whatever light you use, do not gaze at it directly. The visions will become more bright and clear and stable. Your contemplation becomes more and more stable. That means that your winds in mind become calmer and calmer. Then experiences will develop. Suddenly you will know the different knowledge without study. 1/3 of wisdom will be yours. During this period, if you are disturbed by death, you will be born in Rangjin Trulpa, the magically emanated realms of the intermediate state. Quote from the Tagdroma: that which is called the empty goes from the eyebrow level. If you have passed away, you will go to the magically emanated realms. This is not only for visions of the natural state, but also for the practice of contemplation. Therefore, signs come of this type. Quote from the Tagdronbu: mixed with awareness and emptiness, you will be born in the magically emanated realms. The second vision, the vision that is developing. In the first vision, as the vision comes, you will practice, and then the unification of nature comes. In this first stage, if you practice in this way, the visions come, but they are not even. Sometimes bright and clear, sometimes dull, but they get more stable. Now in this second stage, the unification occurs. It is called to separate from the eyebrow. This symbolizes the 5 wisdoms that appear as the 5 colors in rays that shoot straight upward from the eyebrow. They also go to the side and sometimes can even appear as a triangle. They are much more developed than before and can seem even as large as a country. They are diaphanous like nets and have garlands of flowers, swastikas, jewels, palaces, and mandalas. Many shapes can come. This is called the space visions arriving in the sky. One can also see chorten, arrows, and many other forms. That is the completion of nearly perfect visions. Between the visions, there are bigger tegel. Their size is like shields, which are round with 5 colors. That is called compounding the essence of awareness. Commentary. Lopon comments that these visions can occur within tegel or outside them. Tegel can also appear on their own. All the stars and planets are shining brightly on his breast. This is explained by the comments on vision above. These visions all become stable according to the extent of practice. First they fly past like a hawk flying through the sky. At the second stage, like deer running on the mountains. For the third stage, like a sharana, a slow-moving mythological animal. At the fourth stage, they are slow and gentle like the honeybees taking pollen from the flowers. Their stability depends on how much you have practiced contemplation. The visions are as stable as your contemplation. In the final stage, the visions are as big as the universe and stable, and at the same time the contemplation is stable. When you start to have them, there are also techniques for changing the gazes according to how the visions appear. Quote from the Zhangzhung Nyingyu: when the vision comes as a semicircle and white, you should gaze upward and as hard as possible. When the colors are above and to the right and red, you should look down. When the visions come in square shapes, yellow in color, the gaze is to the right. When they are round and green, then look to the left. If the shapes are triangular and the colors are blue, the eye should gaze straight ahead. These are general instructions, but the visions change so much that you should learn by experience. If you don't develop the visions at all, even though you practice, it is sometimes helpful to press on the eyes and hold the breath. Then suddenly open your eyes and exhale the breath, and the visions will appear temporarily. This may be necessary at the beginning. After they have gone, just keep the natural state without any distraction. Commentary. Lopon comments that this technique is only a temporary measure. If you don't develop these visions but only stay in the natural state, then you will not develop quickly. Conversely, if you don't practice the natural state, you can have some visions, but then you are still not free. But then, if the visions distract you from remaining in the natural state, that is again not right. Sometimes, if you are unable to control your thoughts, then you should stop for a little while and calm the breath gently. The gazes also help to calm the thoughts. Your contemplation is never deluded if you are in the natural state, so whether the visions develop or not, the mind should remain in contemplation in the natural state always. The gazes can help to get into the natural state, but the mind is the central key. It is important that your gazes are held looking into space and that you remain in awareness without distraction and with calm breath. Commentary. If you stay continuously in the natural state without visions, then you do not understand the deluded vision, so you need both techniques. This is not like a game you play for interest, neither should you become attached to these visions and grasp after them. They are for practice. It is the same for dark retreat. You can have interesting experiences, but they do not have much sense on their own. Lopon comments that you should practice and discover what works for you. After all, it is you that must enter the natural state. Lopon comments that this is a basic instruction for all of the time. If you remain in the natural state, then the visions come. Do not follow the visions, however, you should not be distracted by them. There are 3 techniques in the Zhangzheng Yenyu, the gazes of the dark, of space, and of light. The gaze is not described in this text, which only mentions the gazes of space and light. The practice of the dark is used to stabilize contemplation and for the initial development of visions. At the beginning, the visions start from inside the teagle, so only an upper half or a lower half appears, and not very clear. At this time, you must still hold your gaze straight ahead in the natural state. This is generally true, but there are other qualifications. If you pass away when you're at the stage of uniting of the 4 visions of wisdom, then in the same way, in the intermediate state, there are 4 visions of wisdom. At that time, you will realize and be liberated. If you pass away when you see the triangle shapes in your vision, then in the intermediate state, you will be liberated. If the visions are round and like 4-petaled flowers when you pass away, you will realize the clear vision in the first bardo of the intermediate state. In conclusion, if all the colors and the shapes are completed at the time you pass away, then when you are in the intermediate state, you will realize what all the visions are before the bardo of birth, the Sipai bardo, the Srid Pai bardo, and you will be liberated. When the teagle are the size of shields and round, then the visions have almost come to the ultimate. They do not get bigger than this. Each has 5 colors around the outside with mandalas of divinities with the consorts and different attendants inside. This is almost the final vision. Commentary. Lopon comments that if you look for the other half of the image, nothing will remain. They will all go. Better not to try to see anything. If you keep in the natural state, then they will come naturally, for that is their source. But if you want to see more and try to focus on them, they will not remain. They are not objects of vision. Lopon comments that this is a commentary on the Zhangzheng Yenyu text called the 6 Lamps. If in this time you pass away, you will be liberated in the intermediate state, because at the start of the bardo, visions begin as in this practice. If you realize that these visions are spontaneously arisen from the natural state, then you will be liberated, since you will not grasp after them as real. This is explained in Book 4 of this text. This is almost the final vision, the 3rd vision. Now comes complete vision. These visions all spontaneously exist within the natural state, and you have used methods to develop them, so the visions appear to you. The visions do not come from outside. When the visions are all complete, then peaceful and wrathful divinities will appear, not as statues, but directly from the natural state in Sambhogakaya or Nirmanakaya forms. Each will have the 32 special marks and 81 subsidiary signs. They appear because the practitioner has reached the complete vision. Just using the methods of Tegel and Trekcho, and without any visualization or mantra, the divinities appear. Therefore, it is excellent. Whatever the visions might be called, their nature is unification. They come to vision although they spontaneously exist. It is you that has come into the natural state, not them. You should not be limited by what visions come. Single or with consorts, dakinis, peaceful or wrathful, they appear because you have practiced in unification and are stable and clear. Therefore these visions come to you. There can be retinues and attendants and mandalas and so on, each with decorations and ornaments. They are naturally coming because everything spontaneously exists. You did not make any special thing. You only used the methods. Quote from the Togdep. The signs are the rays of clarity and the decorations of images. 5 bright lamps shine from the crown of the head. When the completed visions come, the 5 wisdoms directly appear to the practitioner. At the same time, all the visions mix with the external vision. Real vision mixes with external vision so that it is the same vision for you. The material things now mix with your vision. At the same time, the visions are all liberating themselves. So the empty wisdom has appeared to you, and whatever you see, wisdom appears. It does not matter whether you see friends or enemies, all are liberated in your vision. The visions are completely mixed without any conditions. All the normal visions in life are seen as the Buddha realms and the 5 Buddha families. You can see coming from your chest the 5 colored rays connecting you to these divinities. Also from your eyebrow rays come the Tegel between them, becoming like the mandalas of the 86 wrathful deities, and inside the heart there are the 45 peaceful deities that you can see. The channels become completely purified, and through them divinities and beings appear. At this time, all the normal thoughts which are mixed with ignorance are completely purified and liberated. Awareness and wisdom directly appear. At that time, you can focus on rocks and move them if you want to. Your mind can make imprints in rock. There is no attachment with the material body. Also, the practitioner has the 6 kinds of clear voice and can see all the mountains as a paradise of the divinities. You can receive teachings from them, and you have much knowledge that you receive without any learning. The material body and channels being self-liberated, material things start to disappear. The mind and physical body are disconnected, so the physical body begins to disappear. You can see samsara and nirvana. You can see samsara and see that it is not your karmic cause, and you can see nirvana and that it is connected to you. All the karmic causes and traces disappear like shooting stars disappearing into space. All the 3 kayas are completed in this time. 3 letters are set into his mind. All the visions and nirmanakayas that have knowledge and purifications appear to the practitioner. This is a result of the practice of Dzogchen. No other schools can do this. To practice, see, and use all the 3 kayas is unique to Dzogchen. Therefore, Dzogchen is the most esoteric path. In the practice of the 8 rays, the realization of the 3 kayas comes after the termination of the path in the intermediate state. Here they appear during this life, so one can practice and have teachings directly from them. Some of the masters say that these visions are all delusion, and some say this is the final truth. According to this text and my intention, you cannot say this is either delusion or truth. What appears is what spontaneously exists. You cannot say that it is either true or false. To the practitioner, the natural state appears spontaneously, but the visions are neither external nor material. In the experience of the practitioner who has achieved this state, all the visions are liberated into the natural state. The 4th vision. The 4th vision is the completion of the natural visions. Here, depending on the methods which you have used, the visions of the natural state are fully developed. They are like the full moon. Just as when the moon is full, it begins to wane. In the same way, the visions also wane. They come down to the size of Tegel again, and the Tegel dissolve into the natural state, so that all that remains is the unification, nothing else. For this reason it is called finished. Vision remains in the natural state as the final truth, just as the 30th day of the lunar month of the Tibetan calendar has no moon that you can see. The visions are bigger or smaller depending on the practitioner. The natural state is neither. It has always the same nature and is without size or color. These are two ways in which this completion comes about, gradual and sudden. In the gradual case, the visions become full and then gradually diminish. Here the practitioner develops the four lamps sequentially, and then the visions gradually disappear. Although it is very rare, there are practitioners who are purified from practice in a previous life, and for them the visions suddenly start and equally suddenly stop. Commentary. Lopon comments that they start from the natural state and go back to the same source. After the visions are complete, all aspects of experience dissolve at the same time, not only the visions that you have, but also the normal vision, body and mind, sense organs and consciousness. Everything dissolves into your nature because all aspects have been purified. Commentary. Lopon comments that this is why after the taking of the body of light, the nails and hair are left. You can cut them and it does not hurt, which indicates that they are outside the connection to the nature. 20 nails and some pieces of hair are left. One of Shardza's masters, called Dawa Dragpa, did achieve the complete resorption of his body in 1932. He asked his pupils to put a hut so he could take the rainbow body, and he asked them to keep its location secret, especially from his very powerful brother, who only lived one day away, because otherwise he would be disturbed. They built a hut, and they kept a small hole in it for a few days, and then closed it completely. Just before he entered, he took only a little milk, and then nothing at all. It is said in the period just before he entered that sometimes he disappeared completely to the eyes of his students. Then he entered the hut, and around it they heard chanting and singing, and saw rainbows of extraordinary shape, including square and linear ones. After 1 week, they informed his brother, who was very upset that he had not been told. He traveled rapidly to the place and fought with the pupils and broke down the hut. This was 9 days after Dawa Dragpa had entered it. When the brother looked inside, it looked as though Dawa was there, and he loudly exclaimed, "Everybody says you are dead, but you are not dead." So he shook the robes, but there was nothing, only the empty clothes that Dawa was wearing, which fell to the ground. Searching for relics, he found some hair and 19 nails, but could not find the 20th. At that time, Dawa's main student was not there either, and when he heard, he made prostrations all the way to the place. He reached the hut where Dawa had disappeared and searched for remnants of his master, found the missing fingernail. This can be seen to this day in Dege. Why is it that all the external visions are dissolved? The reason for this lies in the process of awareness, which is generated at the heart by the arrival of winds from the channel that comes from the lungs. At the end of the visions, this channel is completely disconnected, and so the natural state becomes complete and pure. Therefore all the visions are dissolved, and this nature comes into the real final source. It does not reach the final nature, then a small body is left behind because the visions have not all dissolved. When Shardza died in commentary, when Shardza died in 1935, he left behind a body no larger than a plate. Partial resorption of the body was also achieved by his nephew and his successor. The most recent case was that of 4 students, one of whom was a personal friend of the Lopon, who went to practice with one of Shardza's main students in the 1950s. When the Cultural Revolution came, they were brutalized along with all the monks. One died at this period and achieved the partial absorption of the elements of his body. The remaining pair lived on until after Mao died. One of them gave teachings to many people during the period of religious liberalization that followed, and when he died in 1983, he also very nearly disappeared. Two of the monks who reside in Kathmandu were present at that time, as is described in Appendix 1 of this book. Partial resorption of the body is simply the result of the stage of practice reached at the end of the life. Lopon comments that just as the beginning of this process could be described as being like traveling down the English Channel, at this stage the traveler has reached the open ocean and sees the shore no longer. Lopon comments that this is not as if all external vision had disappeared and the practitioner were able to see anyone or anything. The vision that dissolves is that connected to one's own personal traces. That is, the practitioner can see other beings and things that are part of the shared karmic traces, but not his or her own. No thoughts can delude. Were one to look into a mirror, one would be invisible. Indeed, others can sometimes see the practitioner, sometimes not. It depends on the depth of the absorption into the final state. The two results. At that time, the practitioner receives two kinds of things. First of all, he or she receives the free birth. This is explained below, and helps beings. The visions start to dissolve, and when the practitioner looks at the fingers on the hands, he or she sees all the fingers wrapped up with lights. When the practitioner focuses on these lights and remains in meditation, the body disappears, and at the same time he or she sees the universe like the reflection of the moon in water. Also, the practitioner can look at this or at his or her own body and see that it too is like a reflection in a mirror. That time is called the Great Transfer. The practitioner then becomes a member of the lineage of those who made the Great Transfer, like the first 24 masters of the Dzogchen lineage. He or she then belongs to their community. And when he or she has a body like this, impure eyes see the practitioner as a normal person, but he or she has a light body, hence the free birth. In his or her body there is nothing material. The body can completely disappear or go through solid walls or fly in the air. An example is Tapihritsa, who, after he took a rainbow body, was able to appear in any form at any time. In the Zhangzangyangyu, it tells of him appearing to a rich man as a servant. This is because the man was the benefactor of Nangzher Lopo, who was meditating nearby. Commentary. This refers to the lineage of the Zhangzangyangyu. It was orally transmitted from master to pupil for 24 generations, with all lineage holders achieving the great transfer. The 25th master, Tapihritsa, asked his pupil Nangzher Lopo in the 8th century to write it down, and many other rainbow bodies were recorded in the subsequent written lineage. In his it has remained unbroken to this day. After some time they realized that the servant was an emanated form, and Tapihritsa taught both the rich donor and Nangzher Lopo, finally appearing as the crystal-colored form of the Dharmakaya. Another example was Lungbon Lanyan, who lived in the 12th century in the Tsong province, who prayed for a long time to go to Tsewang Ringzin. One day, Tsewang Ringzin appeared to him and then agreed to teach him. In fact, more than one person received these teachings, which included the Nyamka Trulzo Dzogchen that is quoted above. The practitioner can meet an ordinary person and talk and then disappear and reappear at any time. He or she can also help all the 6 realms of beings at that time. If the connections are already there, the practitioner can insert his or her mind into that of a pupil and change the pupil's mind. Gradually, the pupils will practice and take their own rainbow bodies. That is the first result. The second result is called gaining free entrance. This means that if the practitioner has a bodily form which is not great or powerful in helping beings, then when he or she sees his or her fingers wrapped with light, there is no need to focus on them. The practitioner just remains in the unification. Soon thereafter, the practitioner will completely disappear, and all will disappear for him or her. Only the unification exists. This is called all the visions go back to the natural state. Commentary. Lopon comments that such appearances are rarer nowadays. Now people are not connected. That is to say that there must be a karmic cause on the part of the practitioner and a commitment from the master for such an appearance to happen. Lopon comments that sometimes this is explained by analogy to an image that is placed inside an offering vessel. You cannot see the image from the outside of the vessel, although inside it is there. In the same way, although the visions dissolve, something is there. The practitioner spontaneously exists in the unification. Then the practitioner disappears and takes a rainbow body, and, with the Buddhas, helps beings until samsara is finished. This is explained in the text Treasure of Emptiness, written by Shardza, where it is described in detail. And the queens of the fourth season are all supported him. That means the four supports are by his side. They are described in the following text. Quote from the text of Molten Golddigser. There are four supports. The first is the three unmovable bases. The second is the three stabilities. The third is to fix as if with nails the three receipts. And the fourth is to show the signs of liberation and the four satisfactions. The first support is the three unmovable bases. This is first to keep your body posture as stable as possible, so that your channels and winds all become calm. The second aspect is to not shift the gazes. This allows the visions to develop much more quickly. The third is to hold the mind without speaking in the natural state, which makes the unification more stable. The second support is the three stabilities. The first stability is that your body has no activity. The second is that if you stay quiet without acting, then your winds all become calm and self-liberating. When the winds become calm, the mind is not disturbed with thoughts. The third is that the winds are not agitated with thoughts. Then the visions are all stable, and they all quickly become developed and complete. Commentary. Although this analogy is often used, it can be misleading. It must be remembered that the unification has neither inside nor outside. Shardza was the prolific author of more than 14 volumes of over 300 pages each. The third support is to fix as with nails the three receipts. During this time, the signs of how much you have practiced come to the three doorways of body, speech, and mind. How much you have achieved is also shown by dreams. The first signs come to the doorway of the body. It will feel like a tortoise put on a plate, unmoving in its shell. If you do this with the body, then the channels and winds will be calm. That is the natural system. When the great perfection does not stop action, the lamps are fixed as with nails. So if you do this, then all the bodily activities are liberated, and without acting, the unification and awareness become more clear. This is the part of the body. The second doorway is the speech. It is like drumming that does not cease. If you do not stop speaking, then the mind goes into the channels and disturbs your keeping in the nature. If you stop talking, no winds go through the channels, and the unutterable nature is more clear and stable. You are more stable in unification and awareness. The third doorway is the mind. It is like a bird caught in a tether trap. When all the thoughts and activities become naturally liberated, when unification and awareness become clear and stable, and that makes all the visions unmixed and pure. Impure visions disappear, and pure visions are stable and clear. During the time that visions are developing, the practitioner is like a very sick man who loses all shame regarding others. The practitioner who receives this sign does not care anymore whether he or she is washed or not. One disregards one's appearance, so the practitioner cares for nothing. The reason is that the winds are inserted into the central channel, and everything is controlled by the natural state. All the world of convention bounded by thoughts is no longer relevant. All thoughts are inserted into the natural state. Commentary. This means that if your body is stable and does not move, naturally your lamps will not move. It is called without acting to put to the body. Soon thereafter, the practitioner's body will be liberated into the natural state, and all the three kayas will appear through the wisdom of the natural state. Second, the practitioner's speech is like that of a madman, and he or she does not care. The practitioner has liberated all the thoughts and is not bound by thoughts, so the speech is not bounded. Thus the nail of the unsayable is fixed to the speech. For such a practitioner, the awareness and unification is very clear, and he or she is completely controlled by that. There is no thought of what other people think. Third, the practitioner's mind is like that of a man who has been poisoned. He has no control. The practitioner is completely controlled by his or her awareness, and everything spontaneously comes without any planning. All the thoughts are self-liberating. That is the nail without thoughts that fixes to the thoughts. The fourth support, the signs of liberation. The signs of liberation are given in two parts. First, there is the time of completion, in which the visions become complete. All things are liberated, and all the visions become complete. Like the elephant who gets into the mud in the middle of the rice field, they will come out by themselves. The practitioner does not need any special practice. That is called without any stopping. The result is that the wisdom of the activities will be controlled, so whatever the practitioner says is sweet to those who hear his or her voice. The speech has been controlled with awareness, and compassion automatically appears. All that he or she speaks becomes teachings, and they will be deep and clear. The mind is like a man who once had smallpox. After he has recovered, it never comes back. In the same way, when the practitioner has liberated all thought, then obscuring thoughts never return. The practitioner is controlled by wisdom and awareness. This sign is called the nails without thoughts, fix the remembering thoughts.